Hello! So today I'm here to talk about badass females in literature. So this is a collab video with Alyssa J from Books with Alyssa J, and I will leave a link to her channel down below and a link to her video on this down below. So I am going to talk about 5 badass females in literature, and she is going to talk about 5 badass females in literature. So you have 10 different badass females that you can check out if you're interested. So here's a quick intro from Alyssa so you get to know her.
Hi everyone, my name is Alyssa and I'm from the channel Books with Alyssa J. I mainly read a lot of YA fantasy and sci-fi with a little bit of contemporary thrown in there as well. On my channel, I like to do a lot of discussion videos centering around the booktube community, and I also created the booktube real talk tag to do just that. I also have a series on my channel where I deface the cover of books and review them to incorporate a little bit of my creativity into my channel. I really hope you guys decide to check out my video. Without further ado, I'll let you get back to Emily's.
So when I think of a badass female, there are a lot of different definitions that I think of. You have like your typical like strong, like warrior type woman who will, you know, take out any man and has just like brute strength. And then I also think of a girl who is willing to defy societal norms and stand up for what is right. And then I also think of somebody who may be a combination of that, or somebody maybe who is a survivor of a challenging situation, whether it be in a fantastical setting or in a contemporary world. So I have tried to compile a list of very different females in literature that meet my different definitions of what a badass might be. So the first one that I think I have to bring up would be Elizabeth Bennet in Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. Now, Elizabeth Bennet is not only like going against, in a way, what society expects of her by like not wanting to marry just for money and wanting to actually find somebody who like makes her a better person, who challenges her. But in this particular version, she is a badass by fighting zombies, and she's like an ultimate warrior. And I think that she has to be given a place here. So another definition that I really didn't talk about in the beginning is a person who is in the middle of a truly challenging situation and never gives up. And I think that this is truly represented in Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson. Now, it doesn't just have to be the graphic novel version, that's what I have here, but in this, the main character is raped. So Melinda is ostracized from her peers because she calls the cops at a party. No one knows what happened to her, and she keeps going to school every single day knowing that her peers won't talk to her, or that her peers go out of her way to make fun of her or to exclude her, and she still goes. I cannot get over the strength of her character by being willing to be in the same place as the person who raped her and to continue going to school knowing that people are going to exclude her, people are going to make fun of her, people are talking about her behind her back. I think that shows true endurance of a character, and that she's not waiting for like somebody else to save her, and that she finally, you know, like finds the courage to speak up for herself and to help deal with what has happened to her. And so I think Melinda has to be considered a badass character, a badass female in literature. The next book that I have is a historical fiction novel, and this is another badass female who is willing to defy societal norms, and this book is These Shallow Graves by Jennifer Donnelly. And the main character in here is Jo Montfort. I read this back in March and I really liked it. So in here, Jo Montfort's father dies, and she doesn't just believe that he killed himself. She believes that something else had to have happened. And even though this takes place in the late 1800s and it's not like proper for a woman to be a journalist and to like kind of go out and investigate things on her own, that is what she does. She does not allow a man, her friend Eddie, who even though he wants to do all the investigations on his own, she does not allow him to. She will meet up with him during the middle of the night. She will sneak out. She will bribe different people in order to get what she wants. And she ends up going to some dangerous places and getting into some scary situations, yet she has the resilience to keep going and to not stop when faced with terrible circumstances. And when she feels like she's going to be defeated, she keeps going. So I think Jo Montfort is another perfect example of a badass female. The next one might be more of your traditional badass when you think of what badass means. And this would be from Warrior of the Wild by Trisha Levenseller. So Razmira is the main character here, and this is a Viking story if you are unfamiliar with it. And Razmira is amazing at fighting. Like, she can take down all of the men that are in her like group. She fights them all. She can wield a sword. She can wield an axe. She can do everything, and she is the best. She takes down more of the animals that are in here than anyone else does, and these animals aren't just like deer. They're like animals that can like think and regenerate, and because it's kind of like fantastical, and they have like this poison in them, and she takes them all out. They have like these really hard like exterior shells, and doesn't matter, doesn't phase her. She can take on multiple at a time and still beat them. But what I think really sets her apart from other characters in literature is when she's banished to the wild, she is able to recognize like the flaws in her character and then overcome them and figure out how she needs to become a better person and eventually maybe a better leader. And I think that's what really sets her apart. A lot of people are unwilling to look at their flaws and then grow from them, but Razmira embraces them. Maybe at first unwillingly, but she slowly realizes how important these qualities that she was lacking truly are, and how she really does need to grow. And I really loved her character. So the last badass female that I am here to talk to you about is Malala. I don't know how familiar you are with Malala, but she is a real person. She grew up in Pakistan, and when she was 10 years old, the Taliban took control of her region, and they banned women from going to school. But that did not stop her. She continued to go, and she actually took a bullet in the face for education. And as an educator, obviously I value the importance of educating our youth. It makes me so sad how much like my kids take their education for granted. I don't mean like just like my personal child, because he's in first grade and he complains about going to school all the time, but I also mean like my juniors or my seniors who, you know, just hate going to school. So I love how she stands up for what she believes in, and she isn't willing to back down, and then she even puts her life on the line for education, but not just for education for her, but education for all women in her area, for all women in the world. And she becomes a peace activist, and you know, she is such an influential person, and I absolutely love her, and I think that this list would not be complete without her. So I have 5 amazing females in literature that are all badasses for different reasons in these 5 books. If you haven't read any of them, I really encourage you to check out these novels. They are all absolutely amazing. Each female in here has a different reason as to why she's a badass, and I encourage you to learn from them and to see if you agree with me. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Who are some badass females that you have seen in literature, and why do you view them as badasses? Like, what makes them great? Let me know in the comments below. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and I'll be back with more bookish videos soon. As always, keep reading.